Me again. I want to do something a little bit different today. I want to talk to you all about my experience getting veneers. I know there's literally like hundreds of videos on YouTube already about people's veneers experience, but I have been getting a ton of questions on Real Self. It's a pretty popular post and I got tons of engagement with it, so I decided to do a video on here too to answer everyone's questions and discuss the process. So my intentions here are to just help somebody to make an informed decision about their veneers if you're thinking about it or if you are just curious about it. I also have some pictures that I took during the process and I'm going to show you those as well. I'm Canadian. I did do my teeth in Toronto, in Yorkville. I paid about $10,000 for them. I didn't watch any vlogs before I decided to get mine done, but I did do research for about 2 years before actually deciding to go through with the procedure. So the first step in my process, and it should be the first step in yours too, is the consultations. I strongly encourage everyone to go to 2 or 3 consultations with different dentists so you can find the best doctor for you. Some doctors unfortunately will just want your money. They really don't have your best interest in mind. They're just trying to stack those dollars. For example, I was expecting when I decided to do my consultations, I really didn't know that you couldn't do dental work while you were pregnant. I had no idea. So when the first doctor told me that, I was super disappointed that I wouldn't be able to get my veneers for another 2 or 3 months. I was so sad and heartbroken because when I want something, I am ready to do it like right then and there. So the fact that I had to wait was just like heartbreaking for me. And I remember he offered me a snap-on smile at a discounted price. So what a snap-on smile is they're kind of like dentures that just like snap over your teeth. And I was like, oh my god, this is the best idea ever. Like, thank God for this doctor. I would have never thought of that. So it kind of gave me a temporary fix before I could go and get my veneers. So I was thinking about that and digesting all of that, and while I was thinking about it, I did do another consultation and I asked my doctor about the snap-on smile because I was like, oh, maybe he can do that for me too. Let's see what kind of deals he can give me. And he literally thought I was crazy. He was like, what? He's like, why would you want a snap-on smile? Your teeth are kind of already like sticking out a little bit. He's like, if you put any more bulk on there, you would look like a cartoon character. There would be so much extra like bulk in this area, it would look awful, and he literally flat out refused to do it. But he did tell me I would really only have 2 options with my teeth. I could do 6 months of Invisalign and have a permanent retainer or veneers. Obviously I went for the latter. So I feel like I really dodged a bullet going with dentist number 2. I can't really imagine how unhappy I would have been with all that bulk in my mouth. Maybe he didn't do it with a bad intention. Maybe the second dentist I went to was just more educated on it. But I feel like if I went with the first doctor, it just would have been a nightmare. Spending all that money on something that was just not going to look good. I decided to only do my top 6 teeth because my smile is pretty small, and when I open my mouth, that's really all you can see. My lips are so big too, so they cover quite a bit of my teeth. Let me tell you a little bit about my old teeth. Oh my god, it's been like 1.5 years now. I hate thinking about it. I had an overbite specifically on like just one of my top teeth, and that one just came out a little bit further than the other ones. It was just a little bit. A lot of people said they couldn't even notice it, but of course, you're your own worst critic. You're always looking in the mirror, like trying to pick at things. Well, that's what I do anyway. I may be crazy. Anyway, it's called a snaggletooth, and I never even knew that until Mean Girls came out. And remember when they were doing that mathlete competition and Katie says that one of the girls had a snaggletooth? She was like, she had lipstick on her snaggletooth. And after I watched that, every time I would look in the mirror, that was all I could think about. That movie was life-changing. But anyway, my canines were really pointed. I almost had vampire teeth, and I hated that. I hate anything that draws more attention to my mouth than needs to be. Like, that was just a huge attention grabber for me. It was like the first thing I saw when I looked in the mirror, especially because, like I already said, my smile is pretty small. So when I'm opening my mouth and seeing these little like points on the end, I was like, oh Jesus, help me. Another thing that bothered me about my smile is that the edges of them were a little bit scalloped. So I feel like that made me look a little bit younger because that's kind of how children's teeth are. I think it's from me grinding my teeth. When I get anxious, I have a tendency to grind my teeth a lot, so that definitely did not help my case at all. Color-wise, the natural color of my teeth were called A1. I had like little to no staining on them. However, my preference was to have them much brighter, much whiter, just like a Hollywood superstar smile. And I decided to get them with a blue tint. You can either get the veneers with a blue tint or a yellow tint, and I decided to go with blue. I didn't want like any yellow. No. Actually, the color A1 that my teeth used to be before used to be the whitest teeth shade that you could get before bleaching became a thing. And now when I'm looking at them in comparison, when I look at A1 and the color that I got, which is the whitest shade that you can get, they look so yellow. So funny how things change when the time goes on. But anyway, I'm going to describe the process of it to you. I feel like I had a pretty positive experience. I love my teeth so much, but I do wish that I was a little more informed about the procedure. I feel like I didn't know how serious and how invasive and how painful the whole thing was going to be. I thought it would be like quick and easy. I feel like they advertise it as like a 2-appointment thing, but in reality it's like 4 or 5. So like I said before, my first appointment was the consult and deciding if you want to go through with it and dealing with the payment and things like that. So my veneers are $1,000 Canadian per tooth, plus you are going to pay for some cleaning and some dental x-rays and this and that. So my second appointment consisted of my dental cleaning and the x-rays, because you really want to make sure that you have healthy teeth before getting veneers. You cannot put veneers on teeth that aren't healthy. I really hate cleanings, to be honest. They are so uncomfortable, and I just hate the sound of people like scraping your tooth. It's the worst thing in the world for me. Like, I don't have a fear of dentists like some people do, but it's just the sound that just makes my skin crawl. What I also did at the second appointment was something called impressions, which was basically biting into this molding material. So the lab that creates the veneers can create the perfect fitting teeth to fit over my existing teeth. So it's really custom made to your bite and your mouth. It was like biting into stale bubble gum, and it was a little bit cold on my teeth. So that biting thing took about 5 minutes, and then after that I was out the door. So I would say the total of the second appointment was maybe 1 hour. Appointment number 3 was called prep. I shudder just thinking about this appointment. Like I already told you, I really hate the sounds of people working in my mouth and scraping against my teeth. It's so sick. I remember I got there and I was like, as soon as I got into the chair, I was shaking and crying. I was just so scared about the things that were coming. So your prep is when they really file down your teeth and your enamel so the veneers will fit properly. And this is where they're going to put on some temporary veneers for you. So to start the process, I was given like a topical anesthetic on my gums. So it was just something they rub on there to numb the pain of the needle that I was about to get. I had a ton of freezing needles. The first needle was so painful. The rest after that, I didn't really feel. However, just like the needles coming at your face was definitely unnerving for me. I didn't look in the mirror after they shaved my enamel. That was the last thing I ever want to see. Like, I do not want to see myself in that situation. I just want to know the before and after. I don't want to know what happens in between. I don't want to know what I look like. I probably look like I'd done like years of drugs. I just was not into actually looking at it or feeling it with my tongue. I just remember there was so much shaving of the enamel, especially between my teeth, and especially on the one tooth that I said stuck out more than the other one. They needed to shave that down much more than the other ones. When the dentist was drilling, I really didn't feel anything because of the freezing. The lab needs about 1 week to 2 weeks to create your veneers. So you obviously need something to put on your teeth in the meanwhile. They're also there to give you kind of an idea of how they're going to look, and if you want to change anything, you can let them know at that time. They're made out of some resin material. They are not as hard as the porcelain, so I was instructed not to bite into anything. You really just need to eat soft foods. You can't eat anything that can stain the teeth either because you can't get it out. So no curries and no red wine. Those were the 2 major ones for me. I was like, oh my god, I can't have red wine. I did. I just used a straw. But anyway, these teeth, they are not like single teeth. They're like a whole strip of resin that's fitted all over your teeth. So when they put that block on, they're shaped and polished afterward, make them look pretty cute. So I definitely recommend that you bring something to do during that appointment. It's like a 2.5, 3 hour appointment, depending on how many teeth that you're getting prepped. So I would suggest a podcast or lots of music. I don't know, like a book that you can listen to, because it's a long time to just be sitting there and listening to your teeth getting filed down and drilled. It's pretty unnerving. And you really are not in a position where you can be looking at your phone either. It's just really a lot of sitting around, listening and feeling the enamel on your teeth getting worn down. So it's a nice distraction to have something to listen to, something to take your mind off of what's happening, especially if you're like me and you're a little bit anxious at the dentist. And when all of that was complete, he took like 3, 4 impressions of my teeth, and I feel like that was the nastiest part. The smell and the taste of this molding material was so bad. It just made me nauseous. I feel like I'm saying all the worst things, but I'm just being honest. This is my experience. Like, I was so thankful to finally get out of the chair and go home. So the next day after my prep appointment, I was so sore and my lips were so swollen. I guess it was from all the needles and the freezing. My lips were just like, it looked like I got stung in the face by a bee. They were massive. All of the swelling subsided by day 3 though. I remember I was not able to eat anything except like oatmeal and scrambled eggs because I was told not to eat anything hard, and I couldn't chew with my front teeth either. So my options were a little bit limited, and I was also really scared to eat anything chewy like pastas, breads. I just wanted to eat the simplest things possible. During the time that I had my temporaries and I was waiting for my new veneers, I needed to take an Advil every day. I would take like 3 Advils a day, morning, afternoon, and night, because I really did have pain in my gums and in my teeth. I wasn't sure if this was normal, so I did go to my doctor to talk about it, and he said that it was a pretty common complaint because the temporaries are resting pretty tight around your teeth, and your teeth are newly sensitive. I just remember that feeling after getting my temporaries on, of being so much more confident. I wanted to smile at everyone. I just felt like a new person. A new smile, I feel like it makes such a big difference on your face. So even though they weren't final and they weren't as white as they were going to be, I just felt like a glamorous queen. I had my temps in for a little bit longer than normal. I had mine in for 3 weeks. The dentist told me that usually people only have them in for 2, but I guess the lab needed a little bit more time. So I remember being really upset about that when they told me that I was going to have my temps in for a little bit longer. So I waited and waited and waited, which felt like forever. And after the 3 weeks, I finally had my try-in. Try-in was done for me where your final veneers are ready and they're just putting them over your teeth and showing you how they look. I wanted a pretty specific kind of smile. My smile idol was Penelope Cruz, so he wanted to know that they were exactly as I wanted them before cementing them in. You really can't change them once they're in unless you want to go through all this hell again. So I'm happy that he did that extra little try-in to make sure that I was happy with them and the shape and the color. So during that time when he was doing the freezing, he knew I swelled up like a balloon before, so he wanted to do the freezing in a different place than he did last time. I remember he wanted to do it in the intraorbital nerve, which was like in the roof of my mouth. And because there would be less swelling doing it that way, we could also get a better idea of how they're going to look as well. He took away the temporary veneers, which was a little bit sensitive on my canine teeth, but generally fine. And then we tried on the new teeth. I remember thinking this color is incredible, and I felt so excited for the first time in like 3 weeks. So after I approved everything, I told him that I love them. I got a new set of temporaries that he put on for me, which weren't as tight as the last ones, thank God. So they didn't bother me nearly as much as the other ones were. And I had my final appointment a few days later. My final appointment was a lot shorter than the rest of them. I remember the taking off of the temporary teeth were uncomfortable this time around. They were just like picking at them with one of those like hooks. I don't know what you call them. But anyway, I was frozen, and then he cemented on each tooth, and then I was gone. He did polish them, and he did file the back of my teeth a little bit more so that they're smooth. When the veneers are on, they completely cover the front of your tooth, but you can still feel the back of it. When I got home, I was in a world of pain. The day is actually like a little bit of a blur, but I do remember that the pain was completely gone within 24 hours. I remember after that appointment, I took so many pictures, and then I went to sleep. So let's fast forward about 1.5 years later. I could not be happier with my decision. I get so many compliments on my teeth now. People are like, oh my god, your smile is so beautiful. Your teeth are so white. Did you have braces as a kid? So I like that they do look a bit natural. They don't look like the totally fake oversized veneers. My dentist did a great job that way. So my veneers are just like normal teeth. I can chew normally now. I can bite into anything. I mean, I try not to, like, just in case. Like, I'm not gonna bite, like, the hardest apple with my front teeth. I kind of like to cut things up. I'm sure it would be fine, but I'm just paranoid, and I, like, want to take really, really, really good care of them. So, just in case, I'm just, like, better safe than sorry. I know that they do last, they say about 20 to 25 years now, and then they're going to need to be redone. But that's so far in the future, like I'm not even thinking about that. And I know he did mention when you do get them redone, they have to shave down your teeth even more. So hopefully the technology will change a little bit more by then, so I don't have to get my enamel shaved down anymore, because that was one of the worst things for me. But we'll see when that time comes. There is upkeep involved in that. You want to keep getting cleanings and your x-rays to make sure that the underlying teeth are healthy. That's really the most important thing in all of this. You really just want healthy teeth, and having beautiful teeth is the second most important. Everything was positive. I really had such a good experience. I loved my dentist. The process was long, but it was worth it. I will have a few more videos like these coming up. I did microblading, and I also did some other things that I'll make a video on in the future. I actually don't know if I'm 100% comfortable talking about those things, but I'll decide. So anyways, I'm going to stop talking now. I feel like I've been talking forever. So if there's anything you want to see a video about, let me know. If this was helpful to you, thumbs up.